Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition with Chaos Counseling. Sorry, I'm just gonna do some noise real quick, just to... Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry, just because last couple streams I had to mess with the sound. I just wanted to make sure that the game was still at a hearable level, but was probably not going to overpower me talking. So yeah, if you were here last night for my Edgelord stream, as much as I could while staying in character, I did allude to the fact that I have gotten some medicine that to help with my sleep, and I do think that thankfully I think it's working. So hopefully the streams going forward will be the length I want to give you guys and not cut short by me getting tired. As well as hopefully that'll also mean that I'll be able to stay more energized and not peter out. I mean, granted, I will admit, after a while, I do kind of just get hyper-focused on the game and do focus less on making jokes and more like, let's do this, if you know what I mean. I hope that's not a problem for you guys, but I digress. Moving on. We, again, sadly, I debated on maybe tackling the last dragon in the ice place first thing, but I thought, you know what? We still got creamed pretty bad last time we tried it, so I'm gonna, and especially since we now have a fast travel point just outside its doorstep, I'm like, you know what? No, let's move on. Let's keep exploring some other areas, and that's weird. I wonder why that fox was listed as hostile for a second. And we'll come back to that at a later time. Just because, I mean, let's be real. If I do try to tackle it again and get creamed, I mean, it's a long fight. I mean, I actually lasted quite a while against it when we first attempted it, so... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I've got... Huh. Sorry, I just kind of hiccuped up some stomach acid. That's weird. And again, you know, I'm not gonna get into my bodily troubles. That's not needed for this stream. But yeah, I do feel, and I do hope this lasts because, like, I have, unfortunately, I have had a bit of a history of. I get a new sleeping pill, it works great for a while, and then it just seems to stop working as time goes on. I really hope, especially since this is a prescription sleep aid rather than over-the-counter, or heck, even in some cases, you know, a whole... my mom is really into, as my older brother calls them, hippie oils and essential oils. So she's all into, like, some natural remedies, you know, but... So I tried one that my mom offered me, and to be fair, it did work. Like, to be very clear, it did work for a while, but it just doesn't really work anymore. So again, I'm hoping because it's not an over-the-counter medication or a all-natural remedy, this one will hopefully have a lasting effect. Especially since I'm gonna need to be well rested because of how things kind of changed, how things are going to change at work starting next week. So for those who don't know, sorry, one second. I used to be a cook. That's not necessarily relevant for the story at hand, but I know that some of our longtime viewers probably are at least aware of the fact that I was a cook for over 10 years. Because I would bring it up, I'd bring it up in passing. I mean, hell, in a planned, like, Sims 4, I mean, I did end up doing a Sims 4 video based on, where I had Sims based on everyone in the channel, and I was taking inspiration from YouTuber Gray Still Plays of being like, okay, I'm gonna put us through extreme conditions and see who lives, who die, you know, basically like see, you know, and just create a situation where all of us are going to, our Sims are going to die and see who lasts the longest. But I did have, like an earlier thing where it was like, okay, we created like a 5-story building, and every floor was themed after each person, and mine was basically a restaurant as well. I don't know if there ever was like a restaurant expansion pack for Sims 4, because quite frankly the Sims have way too goddamn many expansion packs, and I don't think that's a hot take. But yeah, I'm not a cook anymore. I stopped being a cook in 2023 after I got fired from basically the job, like the cook job that I had wanted for about 5 years. So I was always kind of on the lookout for it, and when I saw that it was available, well, sort of. Like the job that I wanted was, I don't know if it's if this is a local business or a national one, but here in Utah, and if it's national, feel free to tell me, there is like a home security company called Vivint. I'm pretty sure Vivint might be in more places than just Utah, but you get the idea. They have a built-in cafeteria in most of their buildings, at least around here. And they contract companies to, like, rather than employing cooks themselves, they'll contract, you know, basically companies to come in and run their kitchens. So I had been trying to get a job there for half a decade. And the reason I kind of brought up is because they had when I first applied, they had one company running their kitchens there, and then when I did finally get the job, they had contracted a different company. And I wanted that job so bad because it paid better than what I was making before, and it was really close to home for the most part. There was one of their places that was like 15-20 minutes away, but that's okay. I mean, okay, 15-20 minutes away on the freeway under good traffic conditions, you know. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I had wanted that job for a while, and after Vivint opened back up, well, I mean, they never closed, but they just stopped having their employees come into the office, so the kitchens were shut down during the pandemic. They contracted a different company, and I got hired through them, and it was great. And then a Karen got upset because I ran out of corn during lunch service because she came 5 minutes before we wrapped up for the day, lied that I was serving corn off the floor, and that I had scooped some corn off the sample plate and served it, even though I scooped some corn off because the sample plate had too much corn on it, so people were getting confused why they weren't getting as much corn as on the sample plate. So I took a portion of it off the sample plate and threw it out. But she lied, saying I was serving food off the floor, and I had done that. And because basically she was a new executive at Vivint, they could flex on my company saying, hey, if you want to keep your contract, fire this guy. So I lost basically the job that I'd been trying to get for 5 years. So at that point, I was like, okay, screw it. If I can lose something that I had worked that hard for and I had wanted that badly because of a fucking bitch customer, I didn't really want to be working in culinary anymore. So I changed careers and I now work in construction. That took way too goddamn long to get to that point. I like to ramble. I'm sorry. Well, the thing with construction is you have to go where the work is. And thankfully, as of right now, the company I work for is local to Utah. I am a little concerned that if they keep growing, they're gonna... Okay, what is the deal? I need to look at Solus's equipment. Maybe that's where the problem is that just there's... Actually, maybe It's the armor I gave Solus. Like, yeah, I know it has high armor, but it is still technically heavy armor that can be worn by any class. Maybe that's what the problem is. Is that it's like blocking other buffs for him or something. I don't know. At this point, I genuinely don't understand why Solus is this fragile, because he didn't used to be this fragile. So either the game is glitching, or I don't know, maybe it's a skill he got that I freely admit I haven't been reading the skill descriptions completely when getting new skills or whatever. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. However, especially in the world of construction, local is kind of a relative term, to put it mildly. So during my time at this company, I have largely, with some exception, been fortunate enough to work at job sites that are at most 45 minutes away. At least in the morning. Like, rush hour traffic home is a different story entirely, sadly. Because, like, I had, like, for, like, over a year, I had to head up into Salt Lake, up near Salt Lake City, which is the capital here in Utah. And while I never worked, like, in Salt Lake City itself, it was, you know, I feel like, I don't know if this is true in every state, but I kind of think it probably is. Like, the city itself, you know, is big, and then it has a bunch of other cities almost borderline connected to it. So unless you know where the city lines are, you could, and most everyone just refers to that whole valley as Salt Lake City, even though it's like a bunch of different cities in one, you know? Anyway, the problem is that while getting to work at, because I usually would leave at like 6 a.m. or around there, that's no problem. Getting there, getting home, however, it nearly doubles the commute time. Well, starting Monday, I am going to be going to a job that is like an hour 30 to an hour 40 minutes away. So it's like, oh, this is going to be the first time that I'm going to have a super lengthy commute in the morning. So it's like, I'm a little worried about, you know, my gas expenses, as well as the fact that we're going into winter now. And I'm not going to be going up near the state's capital like I've done in the past. I am going to be going to a small town in the middle of the mountains, which means, oh shit, higher elevation, which means it's more likely that the roads are going to be, are going to have snow on them. And because it's a smaller town, it's going to be much less likely that it's going to be, the snow is going to be plowed. So I'm a little nervous. I'm sure I'll be okay, but I freely admit I am a little nervous. But at the same time, my job still does pay pretty well despite everything going on in the world right now. But yeah, I'm doing my best to just enjoy this weekend to the fullest. So, wish me luck, guys, basically. But yeah, so I haven't said it this stream, but I have said it in past streams. This is my absolute least favorite area in the whole game. Because, I mean, just look at it. Yeah, it's pretty that it's at night, but the hissing waste, it's just this. It's just this. There is nothing, it's nothing but sand. And yeah, it's not pretty to look at. It's not fun to explore. Like, honestly, basically, I mean, yes, I think over here somewhere that's where the dragon of the level is. But for the most part, this level, like, the way to do it is just zigzag and just hit everything, because there really is just nothing here. And the few things that are here, it's like, I just don't feel motivated enough to go off the beaten path to really explore the place. So, yeah. You know, part of me is like, I don't know, maybe this is boring enough it might be worth doing off stream just so I'm not wasting everyone's time, you know? You know what? I think I just talked myself into... Well, the problem is I keep saying I need to do this off stream. Like, I keep saying I should log in on my own time to do the war table stuff, but I just get so busy I don't have time for that. However, I have kind of talked myself into wanting to at least put off doing this and maybe trying and doing it on my own time, because you guys are not going to miss much of anything besides maybe some semi-pretty scenery. So that is what we will do. I'm not going to explore the Hissing Wastes on stream at this time. Like I said, I may try to do it on my own time, just to get it out of the way so you guys don't have to look at it. I don't know, even then, part of me is wondering... Well, no, part of me has... I will admit, I did think maybe I should do some of these off-stream, just because there's not much to them, but I'm like, well, there are still story-building, character-building things, and most areas in this game are fairly pretty, even if they are a little samey at times, if you know what I mean. So... No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think, for the most part, I am going to try to do the game as much as possible on stream with you guys. Although I do know I do probably want to do the Hissing Wastes soon, because I think there's some rock quarries I can claim in the Hissing Waste, which I think I do still need some rock quarries to finish upgrading Skyhold. Not that it's ever, like, fully, like, immaculate and cleaned up or whatever, but... Yeah, you know, I forgot about this. I do appreciate that you don't have to destroy every single, primal red lyrium vein to complete the quest. It's like, you just have to destroy enough of them. It kind of's got, I know it's a completely different type of game, so this might be an apt comparison, but it kind of reminds me of something like Mario 64, where you do not need to complete the game to beat the game. Like, you only have to get a certain number of stars to beat the game. And yeah, you don't actually have to do everything. So if you find something too difficult, you can just... Okay, I'm gonna go for something else. But yeah, it's like, I know, I mean, it's an even more apt comparison because I barely played Mario 64 because I don't enjoy its gameplay loop. Like, I've been very open about this. There is not a single Mario platformer game I actually like. I, as a whole, don't like platformer games. I find them frustrating and just not fun because, yes, the first couple video games I played were platformers. That's why I do have a soft spot for... I will always have a soft spot for Donkey Kong, even if I can find it... I found Donkey Kong 64 too frustrating to beat on the channel. But I'll always have a soft spot for the Donkey Kong series, the Mega Man series, and even the Bubsy series, because I think I've said this... I think I've mentioned this once or twice, or more than that on the channel, but I don't 100% remember what the very first video game I ever played was. But the contenders for what they could have been were Mega Man 5, which honestly, kind of reflecting on my spotty childhood memories, I'm pretty sure it wasn't that one, given that I think I didn't play that one until after me and my family moved to Utah. Meaning that, okay, my first video game would have had to have been, for context, even though I've lived in Utah basically all my life, we didn't move here till I was 4. Both me and Sunshine were actually born, like, so amusingly, me, my older brother, and Sunshine were all born in different states in the United States. And that's because my parents were traveling around for my dad's higher education. So, like, because my mom was born and raised here in Utah. My dad was born and raised in Spokane, Washington, I think. But both he and my mom met when they were attending university here in Utah. Then they got married while they were both still attending, college. They had my older brother while they were finishing up their I think they were I don't remember if they were both done with college. Like, my mom might have been done with college at that point. Just because she started college before my dad, I think. Again, I could be getting the timeline mixed up because this is one of those things I know, but I only care about it in passing. Partially because, I mean, I've got enough of my own stuff. I don't need to I don't have room for my anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, they got married, had my older brother. He was born here in Utah. Then my parents moved to another state, moved to California so my dad could attend law school, where they had me. And then once my dad was done with law school, he had enlisted in the Navy to help pay for his law school. So because of that, once he was done with law school, he was contractually obligated to fulfill a term of service at a location that the Navy decided for him. Fucking hell. That has never happened before. That was weird. So my family was required to move to the state of Virginia, where we had Sunshine, or where my mom and my parents had Sunshine. Well, once my dad had finished his, contractual obligation to the Navy, I don't really know or remember how, but my dad found out about a full-time position here in Utah, and we moved here when Sunshine was still a baby, and yeah, and when I was 3 or 4. I don't remember the exact age, because again, I was really young, and yeah, anyway. Anyway, sorry, to get back to the video game thing, like I said, for that reason, I'm fairly certain that I didn't play Mega Man 5 until we'd moved to Utah, because when I played it was when we were hanging out with some cousins on my dad's side, and we had gone sledding all day, and then we went back to one of the family, a friend of my, I don't know if it was a friend of my dad's or a friend of one of my uncles or just a friend of the family. So while the parents were upstairs chatting, they fixed us kids up downstairs with the video game console they had, which I think Mega Man 5 was either on the, I don't remember if it was on the NES or the SNES, but just fixed us up on that. And we all took turns trying to beat we could not beat a single level of Mega Man 5, but we all took turns. If you got a game over, then it was someone else's turn. Just trying to beat Mega Man 5. But that is still one of my earliest memories of gaming. So, anyway. The other 2 games that may have been my first game ever was Bubsy, the original Bubsy. So that's actually a reason why I will always have a soft spot for that annoying Bobcat. I mean, honestly, I just bought the Bubsy Perfect collection digitally. I did actually want to get it physically, but I didn't have the funds for it. before they closed that campaign on limited run. Who knows? Maybe I can track a copy down on eBay. That's what I did for Bug Fables. And, I mean, yeah, I had to pay more than I would have liked. But still, I did eventually get it. Then again, I was a lot more willing to pay for extra for Bug Fables, because I genuinely love that game. Bubsy, I just am nostalgic. I just have nostalgia goggles, because, again, there is a very real possibility Bubsy was my very first video game. Because it's one of my very few memories from Virginia, partially because it happened at a sleepover. And, well, it was a sleepover I was invited out of pity, honestly. And so there was arguing to be had, to say the very least. That's beside the point. Another game that might have been my first one was Donkey Kong Country. I'm pretty sure it would have been the one on the classic Game Boy, not the one on the SNES, but I do know that my uncle had an SNES, and he had the Donkey Kong one for that, and I did also play that one at a pretty young age, too, so to have soft spots for Donkey Kong as well, even if it's... Yeah. Another game that for a while I thought might have been the first game I ever played, but I also can't prove that that game is one that I would have played before coming to Utah or after, was the SNES Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game. Because I have very clear memories of playing that game with a friend at their house, likewise taking turns trying to beat just a single level. But... well, part of me is, like, you know, swearing blind in my brain that I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I had a friend in Virginia that I played it with. The only true clerical memory I have of playing that game was post-move to Utah, so, yeah. I do plan at some point to... these are probably going to be one-off streams, like, not actually trying to do the whole thing, but it's, like, streaming the Bubsy games... and just attempting to play through them. Because I do know that in the Perfect Collection, the controls have been tweaked with Bubsy 3D, at least, to make it more player-friendly to actually play the damn game. At least that's what they say on... at least that's what it said on the online listing for it, so...
glad to hear it, kid.
But yeah... point is
but the old song still echoes and sounds almost like Templars.
What's it called? Problem. But yeah, kind of swinging back to my original point that got away from me. As a whole, even though I have a soft spot for some platformer series like Mega Man, Donkey Kong, and Bubsy, I've played very little Donkey Kong games, because while I have a soft spot for the characters in the franchise, I do find them pretty frustrating to play. Like, if I'm being perfectly frank, if I want to play a Donkey Kong game, I might get crucified for saying this, but I would actually rather play Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair, because that was meant to be a throwback. Because again, for those who don't know, Playtonic was founded by former Rareware employees. And Rareware are the ones who made the Donkey Kong games for the SNES, and they made Donkey Kong 64. In fact, to my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, so please correct me, the SNES Donkey Kong games are what made Rareware the juggernaut they were in the 90s as a third-party developer for Nintendo consoles. Anyway, but it's partially due to the fact that Yooka-Laylee Impossible Lair is newer, so it does have some easier controls to manage with. And yeah, I know I could check out some of the modern Donkey Kong games. Well, I say modern, they're a couple years old at this point. Like, I think the first one was on the Wii, The first of like the revival was on the Wii, so it's pretty old at this point. And then I think there was one for the Switch. I don't know. I say I'm nostalgic for it, but I also, because it's out of the games I'm nostalgic for, Mega Man, you know, of the the platformers that could have been my first game, you know, Mega Man, Bubsy, and Donkey Kong. Ironically enough, because Donkey Kong was the only one of those 3 games that we owned, specifically the Game Boy version, it's the one that I have the most vividly frustrating memories about. So it's like, I remember how frustrating it was to play this game. So I'm not super eager to revisit that frustration, you know? But I only ever played Bubsy once, but it always stuck with me because, like I said, it may have been the first time I ever experienced a video game. Actually, I do know for a fact, and even if I didn't realize it at the time, and why it's like I really should find a way to play it. The first Zelda game I ever played, I think, was actually A Link to the Past. Because a friend... And this one was a post-move to Utah, because I am still sort of friends with this friend. It's actually a lot more accurate to say that I'm friends with his wife more than I'm still friends with him. Because me and his wife went to college together. Whereas, you know, he and I fell out of contact.
Please open the door. I can't stand it in here another second.
And only really... And while we did run into each other as teenagers again briefly, our real reconnection happened when I became friends with his... Well, she wasn't his wife at the time, obviously, but... When me and his future wife were attending college together, became friends, we stayed in contact, and then after she got married, it was like, okay, sweet. It's like, we're old friends, but now that you're married to one of my college friends, yeah. And we've stayed in somewhat regular contact since then. I say somewhat because even me and his wife, who, like I said, we are still friends, life, it's busy, and it's really hard to actually find time, if you know what I mean. Right, let's look at Solus's gear real quick to try to figure out what's going on. All right, what Staff of the Void? Okay, there's nothing really about that that's implying that would... No, I mean, yeah, those buffs are definitely more rogue-oriented. I mean, there's nothing inherently stating that... Then again, maybe there's like an unseen mechanic that I don't know about that is... Or this amulet regenerates mana stamina at a higher rate, so that wouldn't be... That shouldn't be a thing. Oh, I missed that part. Okay. Yeah, we're getting rid of that then. I'm not saying that's definitely what was causing it, but I have a feeling that belt might have been what was causing it. Okay. We may have just solved the issue. May being the key word here. That being said, as soon as I establish another camp so I can fast travel back, I think I might head back to Skyhold and craft Solus some new armor. Yeah, I know it's not going to be as good as what he's wearing in terms of like raw defense, but just in case there's like an unseen stat, like there have been in some RPGs I've played, Final Fantasy II, where there is a debuff that a certain class gets with certain things that are being equipped, if you know what I mean. Since again, that is, even though it can be worn by anyone, that is still heavy armor he's wearing. Like I said, I've never seen that be an issue in other games, but once again, you never know. And I don't want, if that's maybe the reason why he's losing health so quick, I don't want to run the risk, if you know what I mean. So I want to do something about that, because let's be real. If we can stop Solus from bleeding health, we probably could go back and challenge that dragon. Let's see. What else? But yeah, something that I absolutely fucking hated about, well, there's a lot of things I fucking hate about Final Fantasy II, but, so I first played Final Fantasy II when it was ported to the Game Boy Advance as part of the dawn of, more smugglers' letters. I mean, I seem to remember these being a little easier to find than the letters in the Exalted Plains, but if they're just as annoying, I might just say, no, I'm not doing this, let's move on. But, what's the word I'm looking for? What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, well, I first played Final Fantasy II when it was re-released on the Game Boy Advance as part of the Dawn of Souls collection, which had Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on it. And honestly, well, I didn't play Final Fantasy 1 before this point, but I had been exposed to it before this point. So that was my first time actually playing Final Fantasy 1, but again, I had some context for it, whereas Final Fantasy 2, this well and truly was the first time I had ever actually played the game. And yeah, I didn't get very, I actually did my best, but I didn't get very far in it because you need to actually properly understand how the level up system in that game works if you're going to get anywhere with that fucking game. And unfortunately, due to just kind of, for lack of a better word, just kind of word of mouth and conversation with other people, it's like, okay, don't use the rods. Don't ever use the rods as your main weapon, because the rods are worthless, because you're not going to get, you know, any good enough rods to really be useful. And since it doesn't list any magic, you know, any additional benefits, it's like, yeah, I never use the rods, even for the characters that I'm like, I'm going to make this character my mage or whatever. It's also like, don't give your character a knife, because you stop getting new knives halfway through the game, meaning, knives already do less damage than swords, and your max damage is going to plateau pretty quickly. Well, as it turns out, the game actually does have some hidden stats that aren't listed, and is no way to track, at least in the Game Boy Advance version. I don't know if, like, the Pixel Remaster fixed this. I highly doubt it, given that, to my understanding, the point of the Pixel Remasters was to give you an authentic experience to the original, which is the reason why, like, the Pixel Remaster of 5 and 3 don't include the new jobs that were created for the Game Boy Advance version of 5 and the DS version of 3. Because the goal is to make it authentic to the original while working in some conveniences, you know? Anyway, words. Well, it turns out, if you want to be a mage, you do want to give that character a rod, despite how useless it is as a weapon, because there's an unseen boost it has, I think, to accuracy with the spells. Now, what I would do is I would give my spellcasters bows, because it's like, okay, if I want my spellcasters to be in the back row because they're not going to have as good armor or whatever, or maybe I did throw them in heavier armor because it's like, why not? The game's not stopping me like it would in Final Fantasy 1 or other Final Fantasy games. But it turns out there's a hidden stat that if you use a bow, it makes your spells less accurate for some reason. So it's like, oh, so based on, you know, context clues that the game itself provided me, the obvious choice for the spellcaster was get fucked. That's the wrong answer. And I know some people, it's like, well, doesn't it make more sense to give your mages, you know, staffs and rods? Like, yes, normally, because that's what mages use, but when there's no visible, tangible difference or tangible benefit that you can easily see, because, like, I only learned this because people data mined the game. I mean, I'm not saying it's not noticeable, I'm just saying that the game's so broken that I just figured, well, this game sucks anyway, so what was I expecting, if you know what I mean? I don't know. It's... Final Fantasy II is a complicated game, and I do mean that as an insult. I don't mean, like... For example, my feelings towards the Tales series are complicated. And I do mean it mostly in a positive way, in that it's like, I acknowledge a big part of my love for them is personal preference, you know? Like, for example, I acknowledge Tales of Vesperia is arguably the superior game to Tales of Graces in most aspects, except for the characters. I do think Tales of Graces is better characters. So that's why I say my feelings about Tales of Graces are complicated, because I can acknowledge that Tales of Vesperia, which is my least favorite game ever made. By the way, I did do a few War Table things, not many, off-screen or off-stream, so I'm going to just quickly talk to a few people just in case. There is... Nope. Just in case that...
Inquisitor?
Okay. So that's... But with Final Fantasy II... When I say it's complicated, I mean the game itself is complicated. Not my feelings towards it are complicated, you know?
Pleasure as always, boss. Night.
Now, as an example, my Final Fantasy III. My feelings to... I consider that game another complicated game for me as well. But once again, it is based on feelings. Because Final Fantasy III was my favorite Final Fantasy game for actually a good while. Because it was the first... Because I first played Final Fantasy III...
I'm glad you came to talk to me.
What's it called? My first exposure to Final Fantasy III was in the 3D remake for the DS. And I actually got that game for Christmas. It was actually a Christmas Eve, the present I got on Christmas Eve one year, so I freely admit when I couldn't sleep, I popped it into my DS and played it well into the night. So I got a lot of good memories with it. But this is true about both the 3D remake and the original. The game is not balanced well in a lot of respects. And what I mean by that is Final Fantasy III is the one that introduces the concept of jobs and jobs changing. Because, like, for example, in Final Fantasy I, you had the ability to build your party any way you wanted at the start of the game. I think there are, if I remember correctly, there are 6 classes you can choose from. Or is it 8? There's 3 mages and... No, I think it's 6. There's black in the original. There's fighter, black belt, and thief for physical classes. Then red mage, black mage, and white mage for magic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do have that right. Oh. And so yeah, you can build your party and play the game however you want. Like, obviously, certain makeups are going to be better than others. Like. But still, you could make however you wanted. And you weren't even restricted. Like, if you wanted, you could use multiple of the same class. Not that it's recommended, but you can do it. But once you picked your class, you were basically locked into it. Sorry, I just didn't check every single person of every single thing I had because a lot of them, like, I can kind of recognize what my characters are wearing, and I do know for the most part what they have is better, you know? Okay. Shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 3. But Final Fantasy 3 was the first one to really introduce the fact that rather than picking classes at the beginning of the game, you start as basic. You start as in the 3D remake, they're named characters, but in the original, they're just nameless onion kids, which you can name and, make your own, party again, like you did in Final Fantasy 1, and then you can change their class at any point throughout the game to any class you have unlocked, which I'm like, that's pretty cool. The problem with it is that the game, at several points throughout, forces you to use certain jobs. I know I was saying classes, but they're called jobs. Meaning that it takes a good chunk of the freedom away from you. Because, like, there's a certain point in the game where you have to shrink yourself down, meaning that physical attacks are going to do dick, so everyone needs to be a spellcaster class. Or, I don't remember if this was in the 3D remake, but this was something that Pro Jared mentioned in his video on Final Fantasy III. There's a dungeon that has enemies in it that will multiply if they're hit by anything other than a Mystic Knight or Dark Knight in the 3D remake. I haven't played the Pixel remaster yet, so I don't know if they've changed that. But if you hit them with anything other than a Mystic Knight sword, for no other reason. Oop. Also, what's more, I remember in the 3D remake, at least, because I had the player's guide for it. It sucked, but I had it. Basically boiled down to use these classes for the final boss and nothing else or you will die. So, while it definitely has some customization to be sure, it really does restrict what you can actually do with it, because it's like, yeah, you technically can pick what you want, but the game is built and balanced around you using these certain jobs and these certain scenarios to win. Combined with the fact that the story flows pretty good. Once you get to the Crystal Tower, the game does get objectively bad. Because for those who are not familiar with Final Fantasy III, the Crystal Spire, the Crystal Tower, the final quote-unquote dungeon of the game, takes hours to climb, where you confront the main villain, quote-unquote, only for it to be like, plot twist, he's not the main villain, something else is, and now you have to, I guess I don't need to actually physically be on Solus, but you now have to do another dungeon, haha, and that also takes hours to beat, that has like 4 whole bosses before the final fight anyway, or 4 extra bosses before you fight the final boss. And then the final boss does nothing but cast Flare Wave, which does like 1,500 points of damage every time she uses it, meaning that if your stats are not super high, she'll one-shot kill you every time she attacks, which is complete bullshit. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Okay. Yeah, I know it's not as good as what he was wearing, but again, we're gonna try having him in that to see if like I said, there was an unseen stat affecting him. Meaning that by the time you get to the final level of Final Fantasy III, you basically, and it's important to note because of how Final Fantasy III works, you can't save in any of the dungeons. Meaning that if at any point you die, you lose like hours of progress. Now, I believe, um, uh, some versions of the game do have like quick save options, so you can at least turn the game off. But as I'm sure most people know, quick saves, well, they're not permanent. So I'm pretty sure the Pixel Remaster may have added some other workarounds, but still, I feel you kind of get the idea. Ooh, I do have. I can actually craft the dragon bone armor now. Yeah, I'm going to. I don't think... Yeah, the only thing I can equip to that is a sigil. So I definitely want to give this to... Blackwall, my man. I know I just gave you a new set of armor, but you get this one. You get a new set of armor. Alright, let's at the very least get a sigil on my armor. That's... Oh, I'll do the giant. I think I need to modify... Yeah, I can't modify mine past... Just... sigil. Yes, I am a petty basic bitch. I want to I want my stuff to be a color that I like. Let's see, I've gone for like golds and blues before. Let's see, I want to do this one. I want to do like the main body first. I mean, that's because I like the way that the golds and the blues work in this game, look in this game. But do I want to do red? I mean, I know red's the Aeroshocks color, so like the default version of this armor. But I can't seem to. Why can't I get like that really bright red? That the one I got is fuck it. We're going with blue. I haven't worn the blue in a bit, so we're gonna go with blue. But yeah, none of these. I can't seem to get that really vibrant red that the one that I got out of the chest at the start of the game, which is kind of disappointing. Okay, we're just gonna do that one because it's not. The difference isn't huge, and I have a lot of that material. You know. Perfect. Shit, what was I talking about before? I don't remember. My thoughts got away from me. You know, I did get Solus's new armor.
Need something? Or are you just here to admire the dwarf?
Hello.
We'll talk later.
Oh, by the way, one of the war table operations I did finish off screen was getting in contact with Zevran from the first game. He doesn't appear, there's nothing more to it than just you can get in contact with him, but
Can I assist you?
I just thought I'd share that because it's Zevran. He's a great character and we all love him.
Did you need something? Anything I should... I have nothing to report at the moment.
Sorry, just checking, because... Oh, wait a second. I just remembered. One of the quests that I did, I think, was for Dagna, and I forgot to talk to Dagna when I was down there forging, because I was distracted. Then we can get back to the game proper. Shoot, what was I talking about? Because I know I wasn't finished with my thoughts, but... I mean, let's be real. I have nothing but thoughts, for better or for much worse.
Thank you for your investment in my investigations, Inquisitor. I've learned something, I think. I don't know.
What have you learned? Did you find out about...
I got a scraping that was cleaned off you, and it's weird. And the other rift bits, they're... I said weird.
answers?
Lyrium and the Fade, linked. But dwarves and Tranquil, not linked. But they work lyrium, so they are. And there's something there. I was face deep in a rune, and for a moment, I was tall. And I thought all the thoughts.
What do you mean when you say thought?
No, as if for a moment I was around all my people. And my thought...
Your thoughts were their
No, my thought was all of our thoughts. Like, parts. Maybe that's what the stone feels like. Or we think it feels like. If we think it feels. Creepy.
Keep investigating.
I tried to make it happen again, but it wouldn't. Then I had a headache. And Coco and a light. I'll keep at it. It's weird. Oh, and I made a rune. It's weird.
Okay. Yeah, I like Dagon a lot. Yeah, did that. Okay, we're going to come here and go this way. Because that might let me get up here and do that stuff. Oh. Okay, I guess there's something over here I missed. Oh, I guess I can't mark it on my map from here. Actually, correction. Before we do that, now that I've maybe addressed the Solus issue, and I've got better armor. He's got better armor. I still want 2 mages in the party, because 2 people who can revive magically rather than just helping others up is a must. So we're going to stick with that. Excuse me. Excuse me, excuse me. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh man, that blue look, that vibrant blue just looks so good. Oh yeah, also we got that Inquisition perk that would buff our defenses, so that could give us the edge we need against this dragon. And I know I don't have the same issue with the dragon, because this one can't fly away since we're in its lair, you know? Then again, that, oddly enough, could in and of itself be one of the challenges, is that since he isn't flying away, we don't get a minute of respite during the fight. Granted, I think the reason why we're not truly getting a moment of respite is just simply because this thing also has, like, minion baby dragons fighting with him.
Oh look, a dragon. What a perfect way to ruin our day.
Oh, I love you, Dorian. Well, so far, my health is actually doing a lot better than before. Yeah, I'm not playing around. We've got that, we're using it. Oh shoot, I also just realized by getting the defense buff, that means I didn't get the perk to increase our focus even more, but that's okay. Again, I kind of... Oh, damn. Yeah, I think we got this. Now that we've got that defense buff, me and Souls have better armor, and I took that stupid belt off him that I was too stupid to realize. Like, this is why you read the whole disclaimer, kids. Because that one belt, that one sentence at the very end that I kept overlooking is, I mean, okay. It does still see... Well, no, Dorian... It looks like Dorian took about the same amount of damage, so... But yeah. We're already doing much better this time than we did in the past. Ah, crap. Thank you, whoever... Oh, shit. Okay, we're now not doing as amazing, but oh well. But it's not Solus who's dying every 5 seconds, so that is technically an improvement. Well, not an improvement, but I do feel it is a sign that I figured out what was going on with Solus and why he was just... Yeah, I really think it does appear that that belt was the problem. I still don't think we're... I don't think we're going to win, because we're still not doing great, but... Let's see. Can I move again? Yes, I can. Okay, for a second I thought that dead body on the ground was one of my companions, but I think it's pretty clear that that's scenery that this dragon's been chewing. Up and at him, sexy. Well, actually I shouldn't say sexy because that literally covers all three of my party members. Because Dorian and Varric are easily the two sexiest guys in the game. And, while I know I'm in the minority, I really like Solus. Okay, I guess I like Solus as a character. I don't strictly think he's I mean, yes, he's my preferred romance for story reasons. I guess I don't really find him sexy. Okay, so I guess it covers Dorian and Varric perfect. Wow, I'm actually surprised the little dragons only just now showed up. Why aren't you getting up? Oh, thank heavens, that's right. The resurrection is an area of effect spell. Whew. That was lucky. That was so lucky. Holy shit. I think I took out the other. Thank you for kind of glitching out in my favor, game. Oh, fuck. I have no idea how I pulled that off, but I will take it. Get up, get up, get up. Shit. Damn it. Okay, we need to level up more. Or I need to drop Varric and bring another fighter or something like that. I don't know. Oh well. I'm not outright unhappy with that. I feel that that was still a good start, if you know what I mean. Or I think that did show that we are making progress towards not being completely butt-fucked by the dragon. By the dragon like a dragon in heat. Alrighty. Let us... We're going to go that way. Okay, and what are you? Okay.
Ah, your worship. Just watching out for... It's just one bear that's become a problem. It's rampaged through camp. One of our workers broke his leg trying to get away. Next, it must be upset that we're...
Okay.
Nothing to report, sir.
Here to help Fairbanks?
something about that.
Right, the Freeman of the Dales. Sorry, for a second, it didn't process in my brain what Freeman orders meant, but it's like, that's right, the Freeman of the Dale. We were warned when we just
Fairbanks is expecting you at the camp.
when we popped in here briefly before,
I'd like to trust you, but
just to kind of, you know, get that opening cutscene with Harding out of the way, just so we can just jump right into it today. Yeah, she mentioned that the Freeman of the Dales were a thing that we would have to deal with here.
All's well, it seems.
Oh, yes.
It is an honor to meet the Herald of Andraste.
You're too cut.
As much as I admire you, however, I did not reach out to... As my missive stated, we can help. You have encountered the Freemen. They've killed a dozen of my people. We've tried to fight, but we can't. Why should you care about this, you ask? Because the Freemen are colluding with your enemy.
Which enemy?
The rogue Templars.
Okay.
I've seen them through the
Sorry,
world,
I feel,
heading for the
given
Freeman bases, leaving with
how the world perceives my character, it's very important to clarify what they mean
I'll look into
by
this
my
later.
enemy, because
help us.
that's the danger about having, you know, a religious icon like that, or someone that's viewed as, I mean, because quite frankly, I could see, like, if this was like as a real world comparison, someone could be like, oh, there's going to be a pride rally, your enemies are colluding, and blah 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 blah. Fuck you. Yeah. And honestly, now I'm kind of angry, because unfortunately, working around the people I do, I have to listen to uneducated douche canoes go, you know, bitch and moan about how someone needs to do something about those evil pride rallies. I'm like, fuck you. There's nothing. It's like, you're just a bigot and a prick. So I'm just going to throw this out there. If you just treated people decently, we wouldn't need, there'd be no need for the pride rallies, because people would just be allowed to exist. And that's the thing that always pisses me off. I've often hear these guys, I'm like, you don't see us doing, you know, having straight pride rallies. I'm like, yeah, well, as soon as your very existence is being contested with you having a right to live, then we can talk about the need for straight pride. You know, the sad thing is back in the day when abridging was like the #1 form of entertainment online, at least the most popular form of entertainment in the circles I was in, Pokemon Bridged, which was the Pokemon Abridged, like, what's what I'm looking for? Because, like, there were so many different attempts at making it a Pokemon Abridged series back in the day. Like, if I'm being perfectly frank, the first time I ever encountered an Abridged series was, there was a Pokemon Abridged series that my older brother found that I have very, like, outside of, like, one thing that was kind of funny, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about it now, because it just made Pokemon really horny, and I always take issues with that. Not that I'm saying you couldn't do some funny, like, I'm not saying that that sort of thing should never ever be allowed. But A, you need to be clever about it, for one, And 2, you need to be clever about how you do it, because the main cast are all underage kids. Like, Pokemon Bridged, like the one, like, I think that many people kind of viewed as like the best or the official Pokemon Abridged series, since the creators of that collaborated with Team 4-Star and Little Karibo and Purple Eyes, like just the big names in abridging they did collaborations with. They had a funny making Pokemon horny joke, even though it's beyond creepy and kind of disturbing. Just the way it was presented was just really damn funny. Like, in Pokemon Bridged, they made Officer Jenny a crazed sex deviant, which it's already kind of funny to think that the person who's supposed to be protecting you is morally bankrupt. So it's a bit of a double-edged joke, you know? They also decided to make fun of the fact that Brock wanted to be a Pokemon breeder by making him a bit of a sexual deviant too, which again, I don't remember how old Brock is supposed to be, so it does still have a similar issue. But like, just as an example, but with the other things, they'd often make Misty the butt of the creepy sexual stuff. And it's like, she is 100%, no arguments, underaged. Like, I think even by Japanese standards, she's like, I don't know if would actually be legal, you know, but I digress. I admit, I am engaging a bit in my double standards about that a little bit, again, with what they did with Brock, but I also can't deny it was just so damn funny what they did. And then, like I said, having Officer Jenny be, well, she was a sexual deviant, but they also made her a pedophile, which I'm like, pedophilia is not funny, and it should never be funny, but there was just something about the way Officer Jenny was written in Pokemon Bridge, and I'm like, damn it, I can't hate this. It's too funny. But at the same time, damn it, I hate this because it's something that's not funny. What was it? It's kind of like that Vine. There's only one thing worse than a rapist. Boom. A child. No. I don't know. It's so weird to think just how long like, yes, there is still SAO Abridged that does still get made every once in a while. Little Karibo does still do some abridging output. It's usually like once every year, every other year. But it's weird to think back to a time when abridging was a lot bigger and it was viable and there were all these different abridged series going on, and then Blip was assassinated, and people started getting really obnoxious with YouTube in particular, started getting really stupid with copyright striking and whatnot. I don't know. And actually something that was really sad in the last year or two, from what I read, Purple Eyes hadn't uploaded to his channel in years, but going on to YouTube and watching some of, because some of Purple Eyes' videos and Little Karibo's Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, Team Force, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Pokemon Bridged, some of their episodes were just mental comfort junk food for me, you know? And Purple Eyes in particular, there are so many of Purple Eyes' jokes that live rent-free in my brain. And, so many of his videos, I'm like, yeah, this is my type of humor. This is just humor that I absolutely adore. His Pirates and or Ninjas video lives... there's a quote from that. It's, what's it called? It's like, when a woman needs to be comforted, she should tell you it's time to buy more shoes, but she has all the shoes. So we really know she just needs boots. So everything will make sense forever. It's so dumb, but I don't know. I've always loved really random what the fuck humor like that. Like, that is very much my cup of tea when it comes to humor. Just random as shit. But unfortunately, he ended up getting a really bad... Purple Eyes ended up getting a really bad strain of COVID. Well, this is like the official story that I could find on, like, I think Reddit. So I don't know if this is true or just what he put out, is that he got a really bad strain of COVID and maybe took a little too much medication at once. So in a delirious state, he accidentally deleted his entire channel. Which, thankfully, there were... There basically is, like, a channel out there that was made to, like, as a preservation of Purple Eyes' work, which I am super grateful for, because it means that these videos that I probably shouldn't like but do, I can still watch some of them. But, like everything, not everything can be saved, because not everyone downloaded it before it got deleted, if you know what I mean. Or then there are some things that should be deleted off the internet, but don't get to be deleted. Like, I can think of certain POS influencers. It's like, they should be platformed and banned from ever posting anything on the internet again. Because it's like, they literally just exist as... just thorns in the side of society, or just are terrible people who've gotten away with absolutely terrible things. Like, I'm not going to name anyone's in particular, partially because A, I'm not looking to start internet beef, even though, quite frankly, we're such a small Let's Play channel, and quite frankly, even Let's Plays have kind of fallen out of popularity over the last decade. That I wouldn't even be a blip on their radar. But I again, don't want to start beef at the moment. I normally have no problem calling them out, but I think because I'm more well-rested than I have been in the past, I'm like, let me be a little more tactful at the moment. But also because I'm trying to practice the... What's her name? The YouTuber that Abby introduced me to, a YouTuber called Swoop. She does deep dives and documentaries about true crime and, you know, people being terrible. But she's also kind of like, in many respects, the only solution for troublesome YouTubers and content creators is just to not give them attention. Like, there was one in particular that she covered. She's like, I probably shouldn't have made a video about this guy, because at the end of the day, we're just giving him what he wants. The fact that she's calling him out technically means he's getting the attention he craves. But there's also some other instances where it's like, this is severe enough and problematic enough that she's like, I need to talk about it, because otherwise this content creator is going to bury the truth and try to just twist their narrative and just push their version of events just to make themselves look better, because in this day and age, no one properly does the due diligence and make sure that they have all the information. They just are like, oh, because so-and-so said this, and I'm not going to do... Oh, this is a lighting puzzle, isn't it? I'm not going to actually do the right thing and research it properly. I'm just going to accept it as fact. Okay, so none of them actually stay lit for very long. Okay, maybe this is... Do I not? No, I don't have the ability to... Oh, well, we're moving on. But yeah, it's like if certain things aren't called out, the influencer can just bury the story. Because it's like, oh, no. Lies are being thrown at me, and oh, you guys don't have the full truth, but then they don't actually provide proof that the okay, just as an example, I am gonna call someone out. The Colleen Ballinger drama from a few years ago. She kept, Colleen Ballinger kept saying, oh, there are lies about me, and then Jojo Siwa made that infamous. It's like, people on the internet can just take a lie and run with it. It's like, okay, but which part of the drama is a lie? Because almost everything that Colleen Ballinger was accused of was verifiably true. The only thing that was really up in the air was whether or not she was doing it maliciously, because we do know that she was having inappropriate conversations with minors. Like, that's been proven at this point. We do know that, she was abusive towards, these are all things that we do know to be true. So when they say, just these lies, I'm like, but which part? Like, again, because not everything is proven, but a lot of it can be proven. So it's like, which part is a lie? But they never specify. Like, she never specifies, because if she does claim that because, again, like, the grooming allegations, the problem with grooming is that term gets thrown around too easily these days by people who either don't know what it means, or people just trying to vilify people or blow a situation. Some people do like to use the word to blow a situation out of proportion. I acknowledge that is a real thing that does happen. But she never specifies what was allegedly a lie against her, because so much of it can be proven that she can't point to any one thing and say this is a lie, because then she could be directly called out. So by just staying vague, by like, oh, the lies against me, but like, but which part? Like, again, having inappropriate relationships with minors was something that people have provided enough receipts to be like, yes, she was doing it. Again, the only thing to my understanding that's up in the air is intent. Which, intent should only go so far, really. Because, like, again, I do have, like, I admit, maybe I am too friendly with the people in our Discord community, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I feel because in many respects I do kind of am worried. I'm like, am I at the pot calling the kettle black, if you know what I mean? And again, something that I have kind of called myself off on. I've been kind of transparent. I've like shared this story in the past, mostly because it's one of those things. I'm like, I don't know, like, it could be seen as problematic, but specifically, I've told you this before, that me and my wife, we used to go to a local LARP park before it went out of business. I accidentally closed that tab. Hold on. And the, Inquisition, star. They offered a annual pass that was like $500 a year, so it wasn't cheap. So for the most part, only adults with stable jobs had them. So for the most part, I, incorrectly just assumed that everyone who had one was an adult. So I ended up making friends with another regular who had an annual pass, who I knew she was young because she looked young, but I didn't think too much about it because I figured, oh, she's probably at the very least an older a young adult or whatever, just because there were plenty of them at the park too. So I didn't think too much about it at first. Well, as I would come to find out, she was actually 14. And I am really bad at being able to tell someone's age by looking at them. Like, it's something I have always kind of struggled with. Again, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but point is that we did become friends and we would go on quests together, but it wasn't until, you know, we'd already, you know, become like park buddies that someone was like, I think like a lot of us found out how young she actually was. I was like, well, shit. Like, had I known beforehand that she was that young, I wouldn't have, you know, spent as much time with her in the park as I did. Because again, I made an assumption that anyone who could afford these passes would have to be an adult with an income. And that's on me. And I will own that for the rest of my life. And it is something I will always be transparent about. And I will always say, like, I do apologize. I didn't know. But when she, because like I'm not the only one that made friends with her and then found out how young she actually was after the fact. Because a lot of us did think that. But because, again, she was neurodivergent and her family moved around a lot, she didn't have many friends. So when she's like, you guys are like some of my first friends, we all kind of, and again, we probably should have shut this down, but a lot of everyone in my friend group are socially awkward who don't always make the best decisions. We're like, well, we don't want to cut her out of, you know, we don't want to basically say, yeah, well, you can't be friends with us anymore, because we felt like that would be cruel. Again, it's like, well, it wouldn't have been cruel. It would have been the right thing to do. We all were like, okay, if you want to hang out, it can only happen in a group setting, because we would do like big group game nights, and your mom had to be present. Because, yeah. I think, you know, we did our best and to salvage it. No, I think we made a valiant effort to salvage a situation that we shouldn't have allowed to continue, but we shouldn't have allowed that to continue. And if that friend, like, she kind of ghosted all of us eventually, but it's like, if she's watching this for whatever reason, I want to be clear, I do still consider you a friend, but I do feel that being your friend was inappropriate, and it is 100% not on you. It's on us. And don't let this prevent you from making more meaningful friendships in the future. This was just something that we as the adults needed to be more responsible about. Because, yeah, unfortunately, that was just a result of when neurodivergent and socially awkward people congregate. We don't really know how to... yeah. So that is why I do always try to give the benefit of the doubt, at least in terms of intent with stories like that, because, like I said, I did something that I shouldn't have. And like I said, I always do try to be transparent about it, because I acknowledge full well how it looks, how it does look to an outsider. And hell, even not to an outsider, I'm like, no, this was still wrong on my part. But like I said, I haven't seen her in quite some time now, over 2 years at this point, and I think that's for the best for everybody. Like, none of our friend group have, for that matter. Because like I said, her whole family just ended up ghosting us, and once again, I think that was for the best. Like, I truly do. I think that was for the best. Oh, right. That's not like enter this cave and enter a new area. It was literally just, here's a cave you can walk in, but it's still part of the overworld map. Well, not overworld map, the Emerald Graves map. What's up, broskies?
Safe travels. Impressive place.
More light. How cheery.
Whatever rests here has taken an interest in our presence.
Okay, I've been doing that for like almost 50 hours at this point. I don't know why you felt so inclined to tell me that again, but I appreciate it.
What was that?
Spirit off the ground.
This place is creepy.
You don't say. Skies ahead are vast and clear. Step up again, feel the wind, smell the air. I need to stop singing. I don't know. It's just, I know, like we've often joked on the stream. It's like, why do you always burst out into song, or why are you always singing on stream? It's like, I joke, but I don't know. It's just, even though I'm a terrible singer, it's always just been kind of a, singing just makes me think, helps me focus, and I like music. I don't know. And as someone who's always struggled to express themselves, being able to kind of be like, this song makes me think this, or this song, like, I'm sure lots of people do this where it's like, oh, I think it has to do with the fact that as kids, my parents I don't really they stopped doing this when we were really little, but it's something that I always remember. My parents would jokingly be like, "Oh, this is your song, Luke. This is Sunshine Song, etc." You know? You know, it is kind of funny revisiting the Dragon Age games again after all this time, because how do I put this? Probably, again, and this is kind of funny given the fact that the original Dragon Age was a rejected Baldur's Gate 3 pitch. But in many respects, Baldur's Gate 3 is a better modern Dragon Age game than Dragon Age Veilguard was. And again, I'm speaking as someone who likes Veilguard. But even with me feeling that Baldur's Gate 3 is probably closer to what a modern Dragon Age game could have been and maybe even should have been, just playing through these first 3 games again, it's like, there's no comparison for me in the long run. I really would rather, like, I am way more likely to come back and revisit these 3 games and play through them again just for fun than I probably ever am with Baldur's Gate 3. And again, I like Baldur's Gate 3. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about these games gameplay is a bit more action oriented, whereas Baldur's Gate 3 is more turn based. But still. But yeah, and I'm just so sad that BioWare/EA just seems to not give a shit about Dragon Age, because there was talks about wanting to do a Dragon Age Legendary Edition like Mass Effect got, but whether it was the execs at EA or the execs at BioWare, there just was no interest in doing it. Granted, I think another problem is, and don't quote me on this, this was something I found online when I was kind of about the possibilities of it happening. People were pointing out that Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not, all were made on the same engine, meaning porting them all to one disk was a much easier feat of programming, whereas Dragon Age 1 through 3 were all made on different engines. Like I said, I don't know if that's true or not, but given that all 3 games had a very distinct look and all played, well, Dragon Age 1 and 2 played pretty similarly. The biggest difference was the combat animations and like the menu navigations. But I could still completely believe what they all do run on different engines, which, yeah, if that is true, that would be a hurdle to porting them all to one disc. Which, again, is a shame, because Dragon Age deserves more love than it has gotten. Like I said, I will always be more of a Mass Effect fan. And again, I'm speaking once again as someone who does absolutely love Dragon Age. But between the 2 series, I have always preferred Mass Effect. Because, like, as much as I love the gameplay and story of Dragon Age, I do find the story a little more fun, or the gameplay and story a little more fun in Mass Effect. And as much as I love the characters in Dragon Age, like I said, Solus I think is one of the most is one of my favorite Dragon Age characters because he's just interesting and nuanced. I don't like Solus more than I like Thane, because I like Solus, but Solus is not a likable character. So I like him because he's well written, not because he's like, oh my gosh, he's like the best character ever and I'm gonna stan him. I'm gonna defend him saying it's like, no, he isn't likable, but he's beyond well written that I like him in the, let me phrase that. He's not a likable person, but I do feel he is a likable character. Much in the same way, like, say, villains like Maleficent are liked and loved because of how evil they are. I like him because of how complex he is. And, yeah, because of that, he is beyond interesting.
We're not alone.
And then Mass Effect also has, like I said, I love Thane, but Mass Effect then also has Mordin, who is like the best BioWare character ever, in my opinion. Because once again, he is a very likable, he's a very complexly written character like Solus, but he is written to be way more likable than Solus. So that's already a vast improvement there, you know? Let's see, what's another example. Then you've got, like, Mass Effect has every single playable Krogan character, and Rex, Grunt, and even Drax in Andromeda. They are all just, I love you guys. Let's be a wonderful camel frog family.
It is over.
That might be better than what Sarah's got. That is definitely worse than what me and Bull have. That's worse than the shields that my two... These are worse than what Cole has. That wait. That's worse. That's worse. That's worse. Worse. That might still be useful. Who am I kidding? I know that that's worse than what Cassandra and Blackwall have got. Oh wait, accessories. I haven't looked at those. Dum-dum. Scrubba-dubba dum-dum. That's why I keep popping up. Yeah, I know that... Sorry, I freely admit I think I was misreading what the kitty caller did. I wasn't reading it as negative resistance. Yeah. But by the same token, everything else, especially the possibility of instant regen, may still be worth it if I'm being honest. All right, let's get out of here. It's like, I think you can. I think there's one other chateau I can explore, like the one I had to find the key for. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of these, just because I just find them to be a little bland and uninteresting. I will give them credit that at least they're kind of they're atmospheric at least. So that's a reason why I don't absolutely dislike fucking doing this per se. Because again, one thing that I do need to vastly criticize Inquisition for is, while it's nice to have these big areas to explore, they don't have enough distinct personality that they do. Well, most of them don't. They do start looking samey after a while. Okay, I think I do need to have Cassandra in my party to do that one. Okay, I'm gonna fast travel back here, go in there and do that. But I'm also fast traveling back so I can I can use the party rearrange thing so I can add Cassandra back to the I can add Cassandra into the party. Yeah, she hasn't been in the party for a while, so I should have plenty of points to pass out. Yes, in this case I still count 2 as plenty of points. Oh, hold on.
The Freeman's leader should be holed up here. This place has seen better days.
These men are thugs.
Sorry, one
What
second.
do you expect?
Okay, sorry. Responding to a text from Abby that I missed.
I haven't heard anything from the plane, have you?
Oh.
No, nothing recent anyway.
Okay. Hold that thought. I did not realize my pockets were that full already. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Oh. What am I doing? Solus, is this any good for you? No. Which means it's probably not good for Dorian either, because his weapon's not that weak. It might be good for Vivian, but I don't care. Edgy dagger grip. Yeah, I can actually... Because every Bianca's thing I've got, I must want any of that. I like crafted it myself, like, because you have to craft all of Bianca's stuff yourself, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's how that works. And I've got all the best stuff possible for him at the moment. I probably should go back and just make sure that is true, but still... Again, that felt really good.
Take them down.
Then again, sorry, something just occurred to me. That maybe if I'm going to keep the kitty collar on, I need to stop using my taunt. I need to stop using my taunt skill, since, like, for those who don't know, how the taunt skill works is that I get enemies to focus on me, like many taunt skills do, and it also increases all damage done against that enemy. But the problem is that the enemy, their attacks start dealing more damage over time. So, yeah, maybe I should stop using the equipment that increases damage done straight to me, you know?
That seems to be the last of them.
I'm guessing that was the man in charge.
We struck a blow against the Freeman.
From what we've heard, I'm not sorry to see him go.
Yeah. I think I will stop using that skill. That's fine. I'll just... Yeah, I'll just take my combat roll back.
Must be something here. Let's look around.
Part of a key. There's a rune inscribed on it. Or part of one.
Okay.
Red lyrium.
They must have been smuggling it for the Templars.
Not anymore.
Something's still not right.
Probably because I'm missing 2 of the fragments. That'd be my guess. You know, I know I just kind of said that, I really do prefer Dragon Age over Baldur's Gate 3, and that is still true, but I'm also thinking I need to play Baldur's Gate 3 again, just since I've never completed Baldur's Gate 3. Since when I first played through it on my own time before I did this Edgelord stream, I accidentally locked myself into the end game, so I didn't do everything. Like, I didn't do Astarian's personal quest. I never finished Astarian's personal quest. I never even technically started Gale's personal quest. Like, when Edgelord met Gale's god, that was the first time I had ever seen her. I think the only one's personal quest that I ever actually did was... Shadow Hearts, and that's because since I was romancing her, I always prioritized her quests, you know? But because how yeah, I think... I don't know, I keep flip-flopping, because part of me is like, I should go back and finish the playthrough on the Edgelord file that I had, because I did get so far into it. But part of me is also like, okay, do I want to stream that as myself, just so I can, like, finish it for you guys, you know? It's just by the same token, I'm also like, okay, but I have so many other games I want to stream as myself, and do I really want to jump back into that one? Because, don't get me wrong, I have absolutely no problem with the idea of romancing Lae'zel just as me. Like, the only reason why Lae'zel's romance was so problematic was because I was role-playing as Edgelord, who just would not go for a relationship that's based solely on not just sex, but aggressive and violent sex. Well, maybe I shouldn't... rough sex. I mean, because if you're into that, you're into that. I know that personally, I am, for the most part, that's just not my thing. That's just not something I am into in any real way, you know? But again, and I mean, and even then, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, you know, how do I put this? So, for those who don't know or don't remember, like, after you spend time with Lae'zel the first time, the narrator says you wake up and everything, including your tongue, is sore. That's too much for me. I am just not into, oh, you are in pain. Like, you are in genuine pain the next day, you know? And yes, I know I'm role-playing as Edgelord, not as myself, but the fact of the matter is Edgelord is just not really into sex, period.
Perhaps if I made an attempt.
So here's where they get the good stuff.
You know, another game that I really wanted to do for the channel, to the point where, like, I was actually arguing with Jesse and Abby when we were doing the Donkey Kong 64 Let's Play back in the day. So it's like, no, we should do this game instead. But I ultimately never did, because when I was replaying through it just for fun, I got stuck on a boss. But I still do want to do it for the channel at some point. It's always, maybe, it's always Maybe later. Maybe later. I just have too many games I want to play, but it's Bomberman Generations. Sorry, that just randomly crossed my mind while I was thinking, so that's why I'm bringing it up. That's a game I really liked as a kid, but I can't say, I don't really know whether or not it's actually a good game as a whole. I do know, I think I preferred the other Bomberman game on the GameCube, Bomberman Jetters, at least in regards to, like, single player. But I likewise don't know if I can actually say that one's actually any good or not either. Because, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I liked Bomberman... Because both games, in terms of the multiplayer, had good things about them, so I can't really say one was better than the other, because one had Generations had some modes that Jetters didn't, and vice versa. But I beat Bomberman Generations. I actually was never able to beat Jetters. And that was because I just couldn't figure out how to hurt... Like, I don't know if it was the final boss fight I got stuck on, but I couldn't figure out when the final boss, when the boss I was fighting was vulnerable to damage, so... And since... Yeah, I know there's the internet to look up how it's done now, but I didn't really know too much about looking up guides online until I was a lot older, because again, I was a bit behind in terms of learning to use the internet to aid with my gaming, you know? Because I always do have some mixed feelings about using guides. Emphasis on mixed feelings in that I have no problem using them, but at the same time, I don't always find them the most helpful thing in the world, just due to, like, I have issues retaining information that I get through reading. So if I have to read, like, the go west from blah 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 until you see da da da, I'm like, I'm not gonna fully pick up and remember the instructions, because it's like I'm not gonna fully be able to digest what it's saying, if you know what I mean. Because yeah, it says go west from it until you see whatever, but what they say is until you see a thing, my brain's not necessarily going to translate what I'm seeing to what is being described, you know? Well, that's not good. Sorry, my eyes are starting to feel a little heavy. But at the same time, it's like, you know, that could just be because I've been playing for a while. Plus, I admit I didn't sleep in as late as I was hoping for. But I digress. Which, by the way, I should say that for the most part, it is very likely that my streams aren't going to be starting as early as they once did if these sleeping aids do keep working like they're supposed to, you know? Because, admittedly, a big part of why I was sometimes streaming as early as 4 a.m. or 4:30 to 5 a.m. here, local time, was because I physically couldn't sleep anymore. It's like, I've got a couple hours sleep, I just can't get drowsy again. It's like, well, I might as well wake up and do something. So yeah, streams might be starting later from now on, but again, we'll see what happens. Then again, my eyes could be getting a little drowsy because I elected to not drink caffeine with today's stream. Because A, I drank a lot of caffeine over the past couple days. Sort of. Okay, I say sort of, but it's also been less than some caffeine. Like, last Sunday, when we streamed Persona 3 last, like, again, not counting yesterday, I had so much caffeine that day. I think I remember I drank a bottle of Pepsi and a bottle of Mountain Dew during my stream that morning. Then I drank like a can of root beer while we were doing an edgelord stream, and I still passed out. And then when I went to have dinner at my parents' later that day, I drank like another can of Mellow Yellow to try to keep me awake for social interactions. It was, yeah, like last Sunday truly was kind of like the culmination of just whatever's keeping me from sleeping come to a very unfortunate head. So, like I said, I'm very grateful to have some prescription sleep aids that I hope continue to work, because like, I have been more miserable than I was during that time. Like, there were instances where I felt like I was much more miserable or whatever, but that's in the top contender. Like last Sunday, just the sheer amount of fatigue that I had, it was up there as one of the worst feelings I've had in my life. So yeah, I still think like some of the like more in like I've probably been more miserable when I was younger, when I got like seriously injured after doing something. Like there was one point as a kid that I fell off a slide and hit my arm on concrete. Didn't break, thankfully. Like, I've managed to avoid getting a broken bone ever, but I have hurt my arms and legs and whatnot pretty bad at several points in my life. So it's like I was probably more miserable after that injury. Like, it was actually bad enough I had to stay home from school, or I had to be checked out from school once because I just was, again, so miserable. So miserable. Or then another instance.
It should be harder for tears to form here.
Where, like, I do love my parents, just to be clear, but where I did not have the greatest relationship or greatest. So, what happened is that, my parents signed me up for Little League sports when I was younger, because I feel like a lot of parents do that. At least a lot of parents did that in my neighborhood. And it was, I was signed up for football at the time, flag football, and was coming home, just jumping out of the car one day. I don't remember where we were. Doesn't really matter. I tripped, and there was like a nail head, like not a nail, like not the pointed end, but there was a nail head that was sticking out of the end of our of our staircase. So yeah, I tripped and I hit my hand on it and cut myself open on it. Like, but because it was just the nail head, it like just perfectly peeled the skin on the palm of my hand up without like cutting it, but it went deep. So my hand was stinging. I was in so much pain, and I didn't want to do anything. But because it didn't go deep enough that I was bleeding, I didn't require stitches or anything. It was just the skin had been peeled up, and it just was, you know, the raw, you know, under layer of skin underneath or whatever. My parents wouldn't let me sit out of my flag football team. It was basically like, no, you committed to do this. You need to do it. Plus, if you don't, then there aren't enough members on your team, because there really were not that many members on my flag football team for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure. Your team will have to forfeit, and that's not fair to your other team members. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, again, I understand, like, there is a certain amount of sense to being skeptical about kids who are being like, I gotta come home from school because I'm ill, you know? Like, kids absolutely lie about that. I am not going to pretend that they don't. But you do still need to give some grace to that, you know? Because it's like, I'm like, yeah, my team would have to forfeit if I didn't play or something like that, but considering I can't even catch the damn ball without dropping it because my hand hurts so bad, because again, it was missing most of the skin on the palm of my hand, so yeah, anything striking it in any tiny way is going to hurt like hell.
Another letter on the smugglers referring to Samson.
These forests have changed much since I was last here.
That's a nice painting.
Here, let me try.
I'm hoping I can completely finish here today before I call it quits. And then next week, or tomorrow, not next week. Tomorrow we can then explore, like maybe like I said, maybe I'll do some of the Hissing Waste on my own time, because there really is just nothing there. But again, I don't want to miss out on the experience. So I'm not going to just not do it. Plus there's also shards there, and I want to get... I know I've got the max fire resistance and the max cold resistance, but I haven't gotten the max nature resistance yet. I want to make sure I do that. That's a spirit. I can't grab that with the chain. Okay. Be gone, thought! Once again, felt great.
Knight Captain Rylan has sent supplies from Griffin Wing Keep.
You saved my people. We'd given them up for dead. Perhaps the stories are true.
You should have everything I found on your...
Thank you. This is best for everyone.
I need...
Be safe. Any news, Inquisitor?
The Freemen have been defeated.
They hurt so many of my people. Perhaps with the Freemen gone, we can find a problem. Algon's Lodge was always well. Inquisitor.
I...
Okay, yeah. Those all are squared away. The whale! You're the power inside, fantasy, realms of light and dreams.
I wonder if my village is still standing.
Use your mind, you will see the flash dimensions behind.
Make her watch over you.
Okay. Pretty sure I can do this on my own. I'm pretty sure that I am mistaken. Okay. Reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, sorry. For some reason, my eyes were wicked out. And, like, my brain was turning the 11 into a 13 for literally no good reason. So, sorry about that. That is my bad. Pretty sure... Yep, I had a feeling that was the cave. There is a lot to do here. I don't know if I will get to fully exploring this place today. had hoped.
He really does look noble, doesn't he?
And a cooldown modifier. Okay. I should probably actually go do the thing that Cassandra has to be present for. So yeah, love Cassandra, but she's not part of my perma party, you know?
don't think much of the Grey Wardens, Solas.
They are fools.
Blind to their failings. But Hawk and the Inquisitor are alive now
Because Stroud's actions define a single man. The Warden's insistence on tampering with forces they do not understand. That is what defines their order.
I think we drove that hollow off the edge of that cliff. It's like, damn it, I just need some more hollow leather, but so much health. It's like, Solus does technically have a point. Like, making themselves Grey Wardens was tampering with something they didn't fully understand, but the fact of the matter doesn't change that had the Grey Wardens not become Grey Wardens, the world would have been swallowed by the Blight hundreds of years ago. So, again, given what we know about Solus, again, the fact that he is an ancient elven god in mortal form, well, maybe not mortal form, but whatever. He has a more new, especially since he knows everything about the Blight, sort of. He does know it's like, no, they shouldn't have messed with it, and they've potentially just made things worse by messing with it, because they have been made susceptible to, the corruption by Corypheus, you know? Oh, it probably is down in that. Yep. Excuse me. Oh. That's 2 giants. I don't think I'm ready to fight that. There's another hollow. Okay, well, I got some ram leather, so still.
There, a rogue mage. Sad that it came to this, but at least it is done.
Okay, I do wish these quests with Cassandra would be a little more interesting if it was like, yeah, a rogue mage, but you had the opportunity to possibly talk them down rather than just instantly, you know, kill them. Because rogue mage does not in and of itself instantly equal to, oh, this person is using their power for evil and abusive means. It's just there's someone who's fled the chantry, you know, which, and then again, I guess that's an apostate, not necessarily, but still, that would just add more nuance to this, because I kind of can't help but feeling that us running up, seeing, oh look, a mage, let's kill them, doesn't really make us better than what Meredith was trying to do. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but I just do wish there was a bit more. It was, her quest is more about hunting abominations, not, rogue mages. And even then, as we've seen with, Anders, yes, Anders was not a good guy, but simply having, or probably more accurate, shoot, what was his name? The guy from the 4th game who had the spite spirit in him. I keep forgetting his name. But with him, we kind of see, shoot, I can't think of his name. But yeah, it's like, just because they are technically abominations, as the Chantry would define them, doesn't mean that they're evil. But still, I feel that at the very least would be a bit more understandable. As, for a, okay, we see them, we need to just kill them on sight.
My people built a life here. It must have been something to see.
Sandarana Tisha. I'm Taven. Forgive my friend's caution. We weren't expecting.
Oh, that's a dragon.
Our initial work will be tedious. And my party... Perhaps I could send word if we... Doreth Shirap.
Yay! Oh, I love this falling glitch. Oh, this makes me happy. This makes me very happy. This is... Oh, I love this stupid glitch. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted. Oh, there's another great bear. Needed to kill some more of those.
Dales have seen so much conflict, and yet they're still beautiful.
There's a story here, and I don't know what it is. That bothers me more than it should.
Sorry, I'm just making sure I fill the map in. Good thing I did, because there's stuff here. There's a lot of stuff here. There is a lot of stuff here. Okay, we're fighting now. Sorry, I'd rather not fight if I don't have to. I've slain enough giants today. And I'm probably gonna have to slay another one by the looks of it.
Another letter mentioning something. Papers with names. Cullen could use this.
I'm falling back!
Okay, that's what's happening. For a second I thought, have they kind of returned to their idle animations? Can we run away? But no, that is not the case. don't think that worked in terms of just getting its attention. Might not notice us. Oh, do I not?
wondered, how did you know to approach us, Solas? The breach opened. We were scrambling and barely had time to think. And there you were.
I went to see the breach for myself. I did not know you would be there.
You must not have been far away.
I was not. I'd come to hear of the conclave, but did not want to get close.
Lucky for us, then.
Fucking arachnid.
One down!
Sweet action, man. Okay, I think I'm fully up. Oh, no, I'm not. Let's see. But first, we held the line. Hello, red douchebags. Okay, I need to find where that dragon actually lands. And then once we deal with the dragon, we are done with the Emerald Graves. Unless a quest makes us come back here for whatever reason. Let's see. So I need to get back up here. Hold on, maybe it'd be better to travel from here. Because I'm fairly positive, considering we saw the dragon flying around up north, it's got to be somewhere up there. And if my memory from past playthroughs serve, it is somewhere up there. There's the dragon. Well, so far it looks like this dragon is taking more damage than the one at the Emperor Deloise, so I think we should be able to take this one down. Don't quote me on that, though. We'll just keep fighting it and see if it actually dies. Again, I hope it dies, because I do want to check off one more place as we got it. right as I activated, he moves. You know, I can't help but wonder... well, shit. It's like I said, I think it's fairly... I don't think I'm stretching too much when I say that I believe Skyrim probably played some influence on this game's development, you know? I can't help but wonder if the whole dragons die and they leave bones behind was definitely... well, I shouldn't say it like that, but I can't help but wonder if that was definitely... if that was also something that was inspired by Skyrim. And I also can't help but wonder, I'm like, so is the reason why the, only the skull remains is to avoid issues with the skeletons wigging out like what would happen in Skyrim? It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying that's why they did it. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if those dragon skeleton graphical glitches from Skyrim did play a part in, oh yeah, bones stay behind, but it's just the skull and it just plops down. Actually, then again, maybe a reason I did have an easier time with this is because I had Cassandra in the party. Maybe having 2 warriors, so higher armor was actually the solution. Okay, I know that's technically lower, but it's the helmet of the Inquisitor. So I just feel it's appropriate for me to wear it. I know that's Grey Warden armor, but I've always really liked the design of this armor. I think I will save that armor and just throw it in my inventory rather than get rid of it, rather than sell it. Okay, let's get that put the flag down, whatever it's called. Let's do that, and then landmark. Find the landmark. Then we'll head back to Skyhold, empty my pockets. I know that, like, Josephine and Cullen reported back a while ago, so I need to redispatch them, but I think... oh, yeah. That first... is not over. Bears! It is interesting to watch videos about bears near that have grown up being used to humans. So they'll actually come into neighborhoods because it's like they're not bothered by humans, and as far as I know, they don't see humans as a food source. So, I mean, yeah, they'll definitely attack if provoked, so you still need to be very careful. But it does still result in some funny videos. Because, like, since, you know, October was last month, a lot of videos have been circling on Instagram, and admittedly, I don't know if they're AI or not. I don't really know how to check that. Or at the very least, I'm not very good at spotting that unless it's super obvious, but... what's the word I'm looking for? But shit, I completely lost my thought. I completely forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, but like some really funny videos of bears reacting to like coming into people's lawns and getting spooked by a motion activated Halloween prop. I've also seen funny ones of possums and raccoons doing the same thing. Do 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 do. Tally-oop! Ow, my knee. I'll walk it off.
Stop following me.
I haven't taken a step. Yet here you are.
I just...
Wow, that is some pretty weak-ass stuff that you're selling. Okay. Alright, let's go give those things to Cullen so we can turn that quest in. Then we're going to hit the war table, and then we're going to call it a day. Yeah. We did good. Like I said, maybe I'll do the hissing waste on my own time. Maybe we'll do it later. I'm just gonna put it off for now, but
the papers you found on the Red Lyrium smugglers were exactly what we have the location of the Red Templars' main supply of lyrium. You'll never guess where.
Right under Skyhold.
Actually, it's better. Sania, you've already dealt with the Red Templars there.
That was Samson's Red Lyrium supply.
The past tense is apt. We should send some people to sift through what's left. With some luck, we can track the shipments from the quarry to Samson's headquarters. Any Venatori activity?
If my agents find anything, you will be the first to know.
Inquisitor.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that one that I just dispatched, wait. Yeah, the one I just dispatched on. I'm pretty sure that is the... Yeah.
I have not asked in a while.
Let's see, gather
How goes the
cloth.
harvest, Samson?
We're close. I know it.
If I can
Gather
help you.
leather.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's completed. Yeah, just want to clear the ones that can be done over and over again.
Inquisitor.
There we go. Okay. Thank y'all for joining me. Abby and I are talking about doing another short stream later today. Just so we can get Edgelord to where she needs to grind next. Just so we can hopefully do another full-length stream tomorrow. I can't promise anything with that, given that grinding does take time. Well, I can't promise that we'll be able to do an Edgelord stream tomorrow if we do end up doing that, but I digress. I'll be doing another Dragon Age stream in the morning. And, yeah, still haven't fully decided what I'm going to stream after this. At this point, I'm leaning on either doing another Tales game like was planned, but specifically doing the remaster of Xillia, or playing Yucca Replay. That's really what I'm between right now with the games I want to stream next. Abby and I, we've kind of, since I've decided we're going to do Pokemon Legends ZA next for Edgelord, you know, bypassing the next poll, we've both kind of agreed after a certain plot point in the game is when I'll post the poll for Edgelord to determine what starter they're going to get. And then, yeah, after that, I will be doing a normal Edgelord poll. So, yeah, I'm not sure when, but I'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you later. Bye-bye.